One other item that didn't have a chance to get onto the revised agenda, it has been our process during the budget season that when we've had questions that come to the podium that are budget related, sometimes they cannot always be answered in their fullest at that time. They may take time to go back to other statistics and information to best answer the questions. And at our last board meeting, we had a member of the public who raised some questions about per pupil spending, administrative costs related to per pupil, SATs, and so forth. So, as we would normally do, we would answer those questions now. However, the individual had also put those questions out into the newspaper, and so we felt it was important that since it hit that forum, that we would answer in that forum. So this morning I asked Jeff Bartolino, as the most recent chair of curriculum, to directly answer those questions with the input of the administration, who was already preparing to do that tonight. And I think the simplest way is simply I'm going to ask Jeff to read aloud to everyone the letter that he has submitted on behalf of the board at my direction to answer these questions to help clear up a few of the items that were raised at the last podium opportunity by the public at the last meeting, and hopefully it will clear up the few things that were somewhat confusing, and it will be in the Hopewell Valley News on Thursday as well. So Jeff, if you want to share that with us, that'd be great.
Sure, thank you, Ms. Mitchell, and after reading this into the record, I'll ask that the board secretary append this to the minutes of tonight's meeting. It reads as follows. A March 27th letter by board candidate Desiree Fogler, captioned Answers Needed, implies that the administration and board are unwilling to report certain information about our costs and our student success rate simply because we did not have at our fingertips all of the data that she sought at a public meeting. Since she chose to place her questions about this matter in the press, I feel that the answers need to be reported here as well. Question: why has the total spending per pupil increased over 11% from 0506 to 0708, while like districts in the state have increased only 8.5%? Answer: the like districts that Ms. Fogler refers to come from a comparison done by the New Jersey State Department of Education in its publication called the Comparative Spending Guide. Unlike comparison districts used by the Department of Education for test scores, the benchmark group used for cost per pupil is district size, 3501 plus students, and type, K to 12. Hopewell Valley is one of 104 districts in this comparison group. In this category, the Department of Education reports our budgeted per pupil spending for 0708 at $13,445 in the range of $18,580 high, Newark, and $89,665 low, Monroe Township. The average among this group of districts is $12,806. When we compare ourselves to our benchmark districts in the area, our cost per pupil falls below Princeton and Lawrence and above that of West Windsor, Plainsboro, and Montgomery Township. Question: why have the district's total administrative cost per pupil risen 15% between the 0506 and 0708 school years, while like districts in the state had only risen 4%? Answer: as explained at the public meeting, our administrative costs continue to track lower than like districts, similar size and type, and the state average. As also explained, this 15% increase is due in part to costs for engineering and architectural services that we reclassified as administrative costs in this budget year, and for salaries of our technology staff members that we reclassified into administrative costs last year. The net effect of this accounting correction, made after a self-audit, was approximately 1/2 of the total increase. We have no way of knowing whether or not similar adjustments were made by other school districts. Question: how do we measure up against the like districts and the state in SAT scores? Answer: Hopewell Valley students scored above state and like districts in SAT results. Here, like districts means districts similar to ours in wealth and education. These are called our district factor group, and we compare favorably to them as well as the state as a whole. Our scores of 557 in critical reading surpassed the state, 495, and similar DFG districts, 540. Also, our math result of 585 was higher than the state score of 510 and the DFG score of 562. Also, our writing score of 562 surpassed the state score of 494 and the DFG score of 543. I trust that the above apples-to-apples comparison will answer any questions raised by Ms. Fogler's letter of March 27th. Jeff Bartolino, Hopewell Valley board member. I would just like to supplement that with a couple other statistics that I found. These came from the 2007 New Jersey report card on the cost per pupil. Hopewell's is, if we're comparing to like districts, is about $2,100 less per pupil than Princeton and about $250 less than Lawrence. And on the administrative cost issue, Hopewell's figure is less than Princeton by $134, Lawrence by $16, West Windsor-Plainsboro by $21. And if you take the percentage of administrative costs compared to the total budget, Hopewell weighs in at 3%, while Princeton is at 5.5%, West Windsor-Plainsboro is 7.1%. So I think across the board, the picture that I get is that we compare favorably when you're comparing like districts and the apples to apples comparison. So with that, I would like to give Mr. Calavita a copy of the letter to append to the minutes of tonight's meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jeff.